The Zaopin Z2 4K edition is a 65-gram ergo mouse priced at $60. And after testing it for a couple weeks, I've had no issues with build quality. There's no creaking, no flexing anywhere on the mouse. I have no issues with the shell. The coating is solid in terms of the amount of grip that it provides during gameplay whenever I'm, just gripping the mouse. But I do have an issue with dirt and fingerprints and just kind of grime on the mouse that I have to clean off pretty frequently. You could tell right here that I have a little bit of what I'm talking about right here. So it does come off pretty easily, but it is something that I've noticed as I'm playing. Again, I have no issues with the grip of the coating, but it does get dirt on it pretty easily. As an ergo mouse, it's closest to something like the Zaopin, but it has a higher hump in the back, whereas the Paro is like a similar shape, but it has less of a curve at the top. It kind of just curves down sooner. The Z2 is using TTC gold switches, which feel great, but they do have a little bit of pre-travel. The scroll wheel, whenever I've been using it, feels very notchy, it feels nice, it feels tactile, it feels light. It has a little bit of a muted sound whenever you push into the scroll wheel. And when we talk about the stock skates, these are fairly solid. I didn't feel a need to switch these out. Typically, whenever I use stock skates, I'm okay with using stock skates unless it feels like the moment that I put it on my desk, it feels slow. So something that would be similar or like most recognizable would be something like the stock skates from the GPX2. The moment that you put it on your desk, you're like, yeah, these suck. I need something else. These don't feel like that. They feel fairly solid. Solid glide, comfortable whenever I'm playing and doing tracking games like Apex and Call of Duty, so I have no issues with this at all. One thing I do want to mention as I go through, first I'll actually touch on the sensor implementation and the battery really quick. I've had no issues with using 4K on this mouse. I don't have any kind of stutter or anything like that while I'm playing. Whenever it comes to the battery, I haven't had an issue with that either. I can play with this for a while and not have any issues. But the one thing that I did want to mention is just the shape of the mouse. So I did mention that it is close to the Zaopin, but at least for me, whenever I'm playing, I think the thing that I'm used to is more of like a curve off. So if you think of something like Pulsar or the Death Adder, it has more of like a curve off where it kind of curves and your hand kind of fully it's kind of like a slant almost. Whereas this doesn't have that as much. It does have the ergo kind of going up whenever you're holding on to it. So like up in this corner, but it doesn't have that on here. It's still flat. It has a little bit of a curve as it comes down, but at least as I'm holding it, the way that I typically hold the mouse, you see this in every single video that I use or every single video that I make. You'll notice that whenever I hold onto the mouse, I think this would 100% be comfortable if I was more used to having my ring finger on the right mouse button. I don't find that comfortable. I always kind of have my pinky and my ring finger kind of on the side. But the way that this kind of just comes flat, and because it's a slightly bigger mouse, at least in terms of that ergo style shape, it's a little uncomfortable to me just because of the way I hold it. Even if I have it here, I feel like I don't have that locked in feeling that I usually do. And that is purely just because of the way that I grip a mouse and the way that I'm comfortable using it. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be comfortable for you, but it is something that I wanted to point out. The Zaopin Z2. As I've already mentioned, for $60, this is a pretty solid mouse. I mean, for 60 bucks, you're getting a solid ergo shape. The clicks feel great, sensor implementation's great. You have solid stock skates. I mean, you do have a little bit of an issue with the coating, kind of getting that grime on the mouse itself. But outside of that, that's really it. I mean, at least in terms of the mouse shape being comfortable, it's not 100% comfortable for me. It's still usable. I can still use this, but I don't feel as locked in as I probably could if, again, it had a little bit more of a curve as it kind of goes down the right side of the mouse. That's personally something that would help me, but doesn't mean that this wouldn't work for you. So if you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the comment section down below. And with that, I will catch you all next time. Start a riot.